So here is the 5 things that I hate about this LandCruiser. It's the level of commitment.
Sexy bum bum.
Check, yeah. Don't ask me why again, we tried again and didn't feel the same. The plans was nicking up the diagram. Winter overseas, I got some bags that need acquiring. We used to get cash, the checks bigger so they wire them. Plug talk, fuck the middleman, bring the supplier in. From Italy to Ireland as part of the requirements. Could've joined a union, kid Andrew turned to fireman. But I'm still doing fire shit, adapt to my environment. And now I'm up so high and I ain't coming down for no man. Oh shit, keep it rolling.
So I absolutely love these vehicles. But let's not get it twisted. Nothing is perfect and neither are these. So number 1, first cab off the rank, might be the thing that I find most annoying. Maybe it's right up there, is this fuel filler cap right here. So that thing lets in so much dust, dirt and shit. Now, it's such a pain in the ass because every time, you know, you go out bush, whatever, every time you go to fuel up, there's always dirt and dust behind that cap. Happens to my old man's cruisers, happens to my brother, and it happened on my 2008. So as you can see, the car is an absolute disgrace. I haven't touched anything, I haven't cleaned up and whatever. You can see the dirt on the outside, which is good, but you can see that it gets in there. Like, there's actual granules of sand in there. And right now, to be honest, it's not looking too bad. Probably because since I last filled up, I've been driving around in the wet, so there's not heaps of dust, if you know what I mean. But you can see there's a bit of shit in there. Yeah, it's certainly not ideal. And I make sure every time I fuel up, I always clean this cap. And like every now and then, I clean this cap out properly because dirt and shit gets stuck all through here. So number 2, I would have to say automatic hubs that they've gone to. I much prefer the older style. I liked the option of being able to have it in lock or free and have the hubs open. I mean, I haven't really run into dramas. I used to just run them in auto all the time, which is kind of like free. It just means every time you want to use 4-wheel drive, you have to stop to engage 4-wheel drive. But I've since just been running them in lock pretty much full time. Every now and then I take them out of lock, but pretty much full time run them in lock, which means that I can use 4-wheel drive on the fly. And yeah, pretty much leave it there. But the older style hubs were handy, you know, because you had them in free, which means you could disengage that front end. And you can't really do that now. So number 3, what's number 3? I hear you asking. Oh, better unlock it. Number 3 would have to be the speakers, the sound system. Now, obviously I've put aftermarket speakers in. I did a video on that. The OEM speakers in these, as most of you would know, are complete shit. They are like 4-inch little paper speakers that just are tinny. Look, they're clear. They're clear. They're good as far as that goes, but they're tiny, there's no bass in them. They're just no good for playing music or anything like that. And I absolutely smash podcasts and music. So to me, that's a very important thing. It might not be important to others. You might think it's a bit trivial, but for the money you pay, put fucking proper speakers in Toyota. So number 4 would have to be the pissy little bash plates they put in to protect the diff lock actuator on the rear diff housing. This is kind of a funny one because this is kind of a problem on any 4-wheel drive these days that have a rear diff lock. The factory OEM guard is thin and flimsy, and I know I sound like a broken record, I've said this a few times. I had 3 diff carriers replaced across my Hiluxes because I kept having rocks and debris and sticks and whatever flick up and pretty much smash the guard and smash the diff lock actuator. It's just an annoying thing to me to have on a 4-wheel drive, but as I said, it's kind of a weird one because it's kind of a problem across all 4-wheel drives. You may not have run into that problem, but I always do. So it's one of the first mods I did on this vehicle was to upgrade to this GSL guard, which is 2 or 3 mil stainless steel. It's done a very good job, and it's actually copped a flogging, and it's a little bit bent. So it just goes to show that they do cop it if you actually take your car out bush. So that to me is a very important upgrade. So number 5 for me is, I suppose, a bit of a controversial one. It's this right here. Standard Toyota snorkel. Well, it's not really a snorkel. It's a raised air intake. It's just that, you know, it's not marketed as a snorkel, so there's no issues there. It is just a raised air intake, you know. And we've got this mushroom cap on the top here, which is good because it's like a cyclonic filter. You know, the air goes up through here, and there's fins in the bottom here that are angled a certain way, so when the air goes in it, there's this bit of a cyclonic action, and then the dust and debris and whatever gets shot out the side. It helps the vehicle get clean air in dusty environments. So it's good, and I do like these tops, but the fact that this is like a 5-piece snorkel or something, it's, you know, the only thing sealing these joints are some little foam seals that are pretty much next to useless. And the reason I say that is because, like, this piece here, it just sort of sits in here. If you get in close, you can see in here, I don't know if you can see me flexing that, but that just kind of, this piece that comes from the air box here, where am I looking? Sorry, shitty camera work. There's a clamp around this to the air box, but this piece here just sits. Anyway, so it all just kind of sits in there together. And one thing I noticed when I was mucking around with this air box, the foam seal that connects this piece to the next piece in the raised air intake wasn't even in there properly. So there's no way that all the air is going through this cyclonic cap up here. There's just no way. Most of it does, because you can hear it sucking like buggery. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is just a raised air intake at the end of the day, but it just shits me that it's made up of so many flimsy pieces. And I mean, it's probably never gonna fail as such. I had the OG one on my old LandCruiser, and I mean, it's pretty simple. It's bolted in. It's pretty tough. It stays there. It's all good in that department. Although if you come around here, they have changed this raised air intake a little bit from like the older models, a little bit of a different shape and whatever, but this down here, where it mounts into this panel, is a lot thicker and more robust. So on my 2008, the mount down here was very thin plastic, and it eventually did crack. It all stayed there and it never fell apart, but that did crack. So they've made that a lot stronger these days on these new models. But yeah, that's probably one of the biggest annoyances, that's so flimsy. And I wish they'd put a proper 1-piece snorkel in. Look at this intercooler. Look at the shit that's in there. Holy moly. Look at this, folks. Rolling into Alice Springs. Far out. So I definitely wish this was a proper 1-piece actual snorkel, because I'm kind of looking at changing this. I never changed it on my old rig, but I did change the top to a ram head on my old rig, but I'm kind of looking at changing this. I actually do want a proper 1-piece snorkel. But the most annoying thing to me is, I don't understand why they do that on a vehicle like this. It's kind of, I mean, we all know Toyota takes forever to do design changes on most vehicles. They seem to be the latest to the party, which isn't always bad, because it means they take a long time to develop stuff, and a lot of the time they do it right. But it's annoying that, like the Hiluxes I had, they come factory. If you want a snorkel, they're a proper 1-piece snorkel. They're not a raised air intake, is what I'm trying to say, that's joined by a bunch of different bits of plastic. So I find that really annoying on these, especially because this is a LandCruiser and it's supposed to be tough, rugged vehicle, which they are. And you know, a true workhorse and everything like that, just put a fucking one-piece snorkel in it, please. So anyway, that's enough whinging. As I said, solid vehicle. I do love them. I always will. And that's just a few of the things that I dislike about these cars. And I think it's important to look at that. Pros and cons with everything in life. And pretty soon I'll whack up a 5 things I absolutely love about this car. Cheers guys, take it easy.